Purse, tell him what's up. Brody, it's Saturday, and I think it's time to play some poker. I'm ready to play some poker.
After the dog park, I drop the pups off at home, and the first few hands, though unfilmed, are quite eventful. I crack kings with a set of 10s against a player who was semi-short stacked. Then in a 3-bet pot with king jack suited, I flopped top pair against a set of 9s, and I gave back $600. So by the time our filmed hands start, I'm already in the hole a few $100. It was amateur hour to start. As the first couple of hands, we didn't have our camera in a good setup to see the rest of the board, so we'll quickly recap. First filmed hand of the day. This one's also got a little bit of amateur hour in it, but I promise you we will get to some good shots here momentarily. We've got 8-7 of clubs in the small blind. There's one limper. The button bumps it up to 25. He's the one who took $600 off us when he flopped a set of 9s. In the small blind, if the sizing of his raise was a little bit smaller, I definitely would 3-bet. With this sizing, I could get on board with all three options of call, fold, or raise. Perhaps a little gun shy from losing $600, I elect to play the passive route of calling, and that invites the big blind and middle position. So we're going 4 ways to a flop of ace-7-4 with one club. Multi-way, I think it'd be suicide to bet this one, so I go ahead and check. And thankfully it checks around, and we see a great turn, the 5 of clubs. A lot of chances to improve here as we've got a pair, a flush draw, and a gut shot. And I'd much rather see if I can just take it down now. I put out a bet of 65. Maybe I should go a little bit more polar, but I don't want it to be that obvious that I'm bluffing. The big blind folds, middle position folds, and the initial raiser on the button makes the call. So we probably need some help, and we get it on the 6 of hearts river. Now the question is, how do I get my money in? I've got a stack of 220. I could just go all in and hope he calls. Maybe that would represent a missed clubs draw, which is what I actually have. I could check and pretend like I'm scared of the straight coming in, or maybe that I'm just giving up on missed clubs. I can get on board with either option, but I opt for the sneaky route. I check, and the button thankfully puts out a bet of $100. I wait the obligatory 6 or 7 seconds before putting all of my chips in the middle. He doesn't take too long. He makes the call, and our straight is good. Not sure that I played this one optimally, but I got lucky that he happened to have something that he was trying to bet on the river. Glad the way that I played it worked out, and all of a sudden we make $360 and we're back in black, up a little bit on the day. Ace-3 suited from the small blind. The cutoff raises to $20. The button calls. I probably should 3-bet this, but I call, and we go to the flop of king 5-4 with 2 spades. I'm ready to stick in the check raise, but it checks around. Life gets a lot easier when the turn comes in, the 7 of spades, bringing in our flush. Now it's a matter of just maximizing value. I throw out a bet of 45. The initial raiser and the cutoff calls, and the button folds. Hoping that the board does not pair, and it doesn't. The river comes in the 9 of hearts. I bet 80, just hoping for a call, and to my surprise, the cutoff grabs 80 and then brings another 100 along with it. He puts in the raise. Time to check my cards, make sure I'm not missing anything. Sure enough, I've got the best hand there. I take a few seconds, and I'm all in. He's only got about 160 more. He snap calls. I show the nut flush, ask if he had a set of kings, and he says nothing. We'll take a $425 profit. I don't know why he raised, but he must have had a monster. Seems like we probably coolered him there. He never reveals what he had. We'll take it. Pocket 4s from the cutoff. Under the gun raises to 15. I'm, of course, going to call, and we go to a flop of queen 5-3. Under the gun bets $13. Easy call. And we keep running good. The turn is the 4 of clubs. He checks, and I don't think there's much merit in betting here. I check it back, just hoping we avoid a 2, and we get the 3 of diamonds. It's good for my hand, although at this point, I'm not really sure what I'm going to get paid by. But to my surprise, Under the Gun bets 35. There's not really too much to think about other than how big I think he might call. I go with the standard 3x, making it $100. He thinks it over for a while, but ultimately folds. We only make 63 bucks on this one, but I cannot complain. Poker gods, thank you. Let's see if we can keep it going with ace 5 of diamonds in the big blind. The low jack raises to 10. Everyone else folds. I call and get a great flop. Jack of diamonds, 7 of diamonds, and 3 of spades. This is a board that's not going to hit him well. I've got the nut flush draw. I've got a backdoor straight draw. And I've also got an overcard. I check. He puts out a continuation bet of 15. And I check raise to 50 bucks, expecting that I'll probably just take this down right now. And surprisingly, he doesn't fold, nor does he call. He 3-bets to 140. Seems like a raise for protection. He made it really small pre-flop, which makes me think that he probably wanted me to play. Maybe he's afraid of the diamonds. He's been playing scared money today. So with 2 diamonds out on the board, maybe he's got an overpair. He certainly seems vulnerable. And there are a lot of good turn cards here. An ace is good. A diamond is good. Even a 4 or a 6 gives me more outs. Despite being out of position, I don't think there's anything to do here other than to call. So I put 90 bucks in, and we go to the turn of the king of clubs. It's not a card that I can bluff, and it's going to be a lot better for his range than for mine. I check, and he puts in the max of 300 bucks. I might make this call in position, but out of position, there's no merit to seeing anything anymore. I snap fold. The low jack shows pocket aces. Wonder how much he would have gotten off me if he had just called and I had missed my diamonds on the river. We chip down 150 bucks and move on to another suited ace hand. New player sits down to our right and raises to 15 for middle position. I've got ace 6 of clubs. I make the call. We go heads up to a flop of 6 deuce deuce with 1 club. He continues for 15. I'm going nowhere. I make the call. The turn brings in the 3 of diamonds, and he continues again for 40. I like the turn of the 3 of diamonds, but the fact that he's continuing on this card is troubling. Likely it means that he's got an overpair, as his sizing is more indicative of value, and the board really doesn't hit him at all. So I think he's got an overpair, but I can't fold for this sizing. I make the call, and I couldn't ask for a better river. The ace of hearts comes in. There's only 2 aces left in the deck. That means there's only 1 combo of pocket aces and 1 combo of ace 2 suited. So unless this guy's a little bit wild, I'm pretty sure I've got the best hand now. He fires out one more time. He makes it 50. I don't think I can go too big, as I'm trying to get called by what used to be an overpair. So I settle on 115 for my raise sizing. He puts in the call. We show ace 6 for top 2 pair, and it's good. Hand profit of 185, moving on to the next one. Pocket 7's under the gun. In a 3-5 game, I'm raising, but in this 1-3 context, I'm going to go ahead and just call. So I limp, +1 limps, and the low jack bumps it up to 13. Big blind calls. We call, and under the gun +1 calls. And we go 4 ways to, what do you know, 7-4-3 rainbow. It checks around to the initial raiser in the low jack, and he puts in a continuation bet of 30 bucks. And the big blind comes over the top with an all-in raise. Sadly, he only has $57 as I just cleaned him out on that ace 6 hand. But it's extra money nevertheless. We've got top set. We're just going to go ahead and call. The low jack calls as well. And now we're off to a side pot with the low jack. And the turn is the 7 of diamonds. Overkill city over here. Let's hope he's got an overpair. I check, and he checks it back. River comes in the king of hearts. Maybe he's got a king in his hand. You never know. I don't know what he has. I don't know what I'm going to get value from here. I make it 45, and he actually makes the call with pocket 8s. I'm sorry, my friend. Pocket 8s are no good. We've been getting an abnormal amount of quads lately. I'm not complaining. We'll take down the pot. We'll take down a bonus hand. And that's a good day of poker at 1-3.
All right, well, we can't complain. In for 5, out for 1391, I think. I'll have to go back and look. We'll put it down below. The bad news is I don't know if there's enough content to make a full vlog out of. So I think we'll probably have to go again another Saturday and add on a part 2, because we just ran so good and I don't really know that there's a whole lot more that can be said. So with that, let's get to part 2 and then we'll do a brief recap afterwards. Let's hope we run as good as we did today in part 2.
First hand of session 2 is pocket aces, but we get no customers. First filmed hand is Ace-10 offsuit from the low jack. Middle position opens to 15 and I bump it up to 50. It folds back around to her and she makes the call. I've played against her a few times already. She's pretty splashy. She likes to see a flop. She'll chase her draws. She's not afraid to bluff. Flop comes out king 5 deuce with 2 hearts. She checks, and whether she's got a better ace or maybe has a pocket pair, I don't think I'm good here, so I'm going to see if I can just take it down, representing something like ace-king. I make it 60 to go, and she calls. The turn's a good one. It's the 5 of clubs, so she really should be pretty capped on this board. She might have something like king-queen or king-jack, but more than likely, she's got another ace, or she's got one of those middling pocket pairs like 7s, 8s, or 9s. So when she checks, I size up. I'm going to put max pressure on those hands. I make it 160. She goes into the tank for 45 seconds, frowns, and folds. Good start to the day. Once again, we've got Ace-10 offsuit from the low jack. I bump it up to 15, and the small blind makes it 35. This is an older guy. I wouldn't quite call him an OMC, but his sizing really doesn't make sense. Either he's got a monster and he really wants me to call, or this is just a poor sizing. Because I'm in position, it's only going to cost me 20 to get a chance at a pot of 70, so I don't think twice. I put in the call. Flop comes ace-7-6. He continues for 20, and I make the call. Turn is the 7 of diamonds, and when the small blind checks, I think he's got a decent pocket pair that was worth raising initially, but is scared of the ace, something like jacks or queens. So I decide to try and extract value. I put out a small bet of 35. Hopefully not too big to scare him off, but hopefully small enough to where he has to call. He doesn't look thrilled, but he tosses in a few chips. River's the 4 of spades. He checks. I repeat my turn strategy by putting out a bet too small for him to fold to. This time I make it 40. He turns, quickly flicks in a chip, and I announce just an ace, and it's good. Small ball is working. Let's keep it going. Well, I've never had a perfect day of poker, and this hand is surely exhibit A. Aggressive player on the button has the button straddle on. He's made it 6, and I figure if there's nobody who raises, he'll probably try and take this one down as he's been super aggressive pre-flop. So I go ahead and just call the $6. The action lady in the cutoff calls, and the button lets us down by checking his option. So we're off to a horrid start with jacks out of position 3 ways, and a hand that wasn't even raised, so I really don't have any information about our opponents, and the button, who's aggressive and in position, could literally have anything. It's okay that I got a little bit tricky, but now I need to be prepared to let my hand go. The flop comes out 8-6-4 with 2 hearts. I check. The lady leads for 15, and the button comes over the top for 45. Oh boy, what do I do here? I've got an overpair. I'm out of position. These other 2 players could literally have anything. I decide it's time to 3-bet, and I make it 130 to go. Lady in the cutoff gets out of the way, and the button puts in the call. I have no idea where I stand. And as if that wasn't enough, the turn brings in an overcard, the Queen of Diamonds. Now I just want to get to showdown. I check, and the button checks it back, so that's a good sign. Maybe he's got a heart draw? Hearts miss as the 7 of clubs comes in on the river. I check, and the button puts in a bet of $200. This is gross. He could have 2 pair, he could have a set, he could have a straight, or he could have just missed his flush draw. If this was a tight player, this would be an easy snap fold. But honestly, it should be a snap fold anyway, the way this hand has just gone off the rails. Totally fine to trap the way that I did pre-flop. But once that plan failed and nobody opened it back up for me, I need to basically just wave the white flag and basically treat it like a bomb pot. I get sticky, I put in the call, and the button shows 8-7 of spades for a rivered 2 pair. We got cute pre-flop. That attempt backfired. Then we got over-aggressive on the flop, and that didn't get the job done. Then we slowed down on the queen on the turn, which really, considering the board, should have been a brick. And then on the river, on an action card, we pay off our villain who rivers 2 pair. Is this the worst you've ever seen someone play jacks? I'm pretty embarrassed. But hey, this is all part of my poker journey. I hope you're entertained. Let's not make that mistake again. All right, our stack has taken a hit. We're now in the red for the day. We've got ace queen from the small blind. The aggressive kid in the cutoff raises to 15, and I 3-bet to 60. Folds back around to the cutoff. He puts in the call, and we go heads up out of position to a flop of 9-4 deuce with 2 hearts. This flop misses my range, and out of position, I check, and the button checks it back. Turn is the queen of clubs. Perfect. I've got top pair. I think it's time to start betting. I go half pot and put in 60, and the cutoff calls. Things look to get even better on the river of the ace of diamonds, sitting here with top 2 pair. The question is, how am I going to extract value on this river sitting here with top 2 pair, which means he probably doesn't have too much. I could check and hope that he sees that as an opportunity to try and steal the hand, but I decide the better play is to bet. I actually think my sizing is too small as I settle on about half pot again, this time 115, which looks super value heavy. I think I either need to check and hope to trap him, or I need to go bigger, a little bit more polar to make it look like I'm trying to steal the pot. I think this bet is value heavy every time. It's a river that's going to be better for my range than it is for him. He thinks about it for a while, but ultimately he mucks his hand. Nice to get a good run out, but I don't think I played this one well either. Queen jack of spades from the hijack, middle position raises to 15, the low jack calls, and I 3-bet to 65. It folds back around to the initial raiser, and he 4-bets to 175. Low jack folds, and I'm right behind him. Queen jack is no good. On to the next hand. Well, queen jack of spades didn't work, but now we've upgraded our jack to a king. We've got king queen suited, another hand where the button straddle is on. Big blind calls, and from under the gun, I bump it up to 45. Folds to the button, and what do you know? He puts in a 3-bet to 130. The big blind folds, and because the button is so aggressive, I could get on board with really any option here. I think it's fine to fold to a 3-bet out of position. I think it's fine to see a flop with a hand that does so well with king queen suited. And I also think because I have blockers to pocket kings and pocket queens, that it's fine if I want a 4-bet. I take option B and I stick in the call. Let's play some cards, and we go to a flop of queen 5-5 rainbow. I check to the initial raiser, and he checks it back. Turn is the 10 of clubs, bringing in a flush draw. I'd like to honestly say that I'm a perfectly rational player and everything that I do is well thought out, but sometimes I just go off a feel, and in this particular moment, I felt like the right play was to check. The button bets the max of 300, and I've got 315 left. This is an aggressive player. I've checked on back-to-back streets. I've got top pair in a 3-bet pot, so I don't think there's any other option than to go all in for another 15 bucks. That's what I do, and he calls, and we get the river of the queen of clubs. The button shows ace jack of clubs for a rivered flush that comes in second place to my full house. Lucky, lucky. We got it all in with about 70% equity. Always nice to get a boat over a flush. Ace queen offsuit from the low jack. I raise to 13. A beautiful woman sitting in the hijack. 3-bets to 26. And then the big blind 4-bets to $40. Now, for those of you who aren't used to playing Washington poker, this might look like Looney Town. But remember, in Washington, there's only 3 raises allowed per street. So when I say make it 140, the dealer cuts me off and says, sorry, that's a cap. all you can do is call or fold. So I call the 40. The beautiful lady also calls. So we're going 3 ways in between 2 players who we really have no idea where they stand, to a flop of ace, jack, deuce with 2 hearts. I gotta like where I stand. So when the big blind checks to me, I make it 100. The beautiful woman goes all in for 195, and then the big blind comes over the top, making it the max of 495. What is going on here? Always feels good to hit that ace, but I'm pretty sure mine's no good. I fold with the ace face up. The hijack reveals pocket kings and the big blind reveals pocket deuces. That was a frustrating hand, although I guess we got off easy by only losing 140. No help for the kings. However, she got him back later. She doubled up with a set of 7s against one of his bluffs. And then she got him again later on a double check raise. The last one being about $80 more than he had just put in into a pot of $600. And he folded, saying that he had top pair. I called him out and said, I don't think you're folding top pair for another $80 in a $600 pot. And he told me I didn't know how to do math. So we have a little rivalry brewing, and I look to get him back with 6-5 of spades, which I raised to 13. I get 3 customers, including our pesky nemesis on the button, who doesn't think I know how to do math, and who likes to game the system by 4-betting to cap out the raises with pocket 2s. And we go to a flop of king 6 deuce rainbow. So we've got middle pair. So I check, it checks to our nemesis, and he puts out a bet of 25. I've seen him try and bluff multiple times today, so I check raise to 80. I'm going to have stronger kings than he has. I block a set of 6s, and unless he happened to have flopped a set of deuces yet again, I think this is going to get the job done. It folds back around to him, and he quickly mucks his hand. We take it down with the check raise, and I think it's time to call it a day.
Session 2, we were in for 500 and out for 9. Guys, I'm recording. We were in for 500 and out for 920. Session 2, we were in for 500 and out for 922. You probably noticed I've been playing more 1-3 lately, and there are a few reasons for that. At the places I'm able to film at, there just aren't a lot of 3-5 games that are easy to sit down and play right away. What you got? Also, something we've talked about before is that the players just aren't quite as good on average. There are some good 1-3 players, but on average, the player pool is weaker. And then finally, I've been running good. In 2024, I think I've played 10 sessions. I've won 9 of those sessions, and I'm averaging $71 an hour. Some of that's definitely some run good. This particular second session, I don't think I played particularly well. I think I did lucky to get out of there with a win. What? That ace-queen hand where the guy intentionally did a third raise so that I couldn't come over the top. He could see a flop and then happened to get a set of 2s against my top pair and pocket kings. That was frustrating, but at least the pretty lady and I were able to get him back. And that pocket jacks hand was probably the worst hand that I've played in a really long time. I'm embarrassed, but it was just bad poker by me. The other thing is that at 1-3, people just don't fold enough and they don't bluff. So a couple adjustments I need to make more often. Fold more of these river bets that they're making. Stop calling down with just top pair. And then secondly, when I get a hand like a set, I need to fast play it, especially if it's middle set or bottom set. Because if you look at that ace-5 suited hand, I flopped a lot of outs. I check raise on a board that hits me better than it hits him. And he 3-bets me post-flop just with his pair of aces. If I have a set there, I am doubling up. People do not fold enough. They're not capable of folding an overpair, so I just need to keep that in mind. I think there are a lot of mistakes that I made in this vlog, so for those of you who want to share what you would do differently in the comments, by all means, go for it. Another thing I'd be curious to hear from you about, do you prefer vlogs that show 2 colors for the cards, or do you prefer 4 colors? I prefer 4 colors. I think it's easier to see flushes. But I know some people like the traditional just red and black. So let me know in the comments, 2 colors or 4 for future vlogs. I don't think I have anything else for today. Thanks for watching Poker for Pound Pups Vlog 18. We'll see you next time.
Hey everybody, subscribe here to catch the latest episodes. Also, hit that like button and share these videos with anyone who might enjoy them. Doing that really helps the channel and its goal to support dog shelters, so thanks for watching Poker for Pound Pups, and have a great day.